Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti from anthonymorganti.com, and this is episode 14 of Photo Critiques. And in Photo Critiques, people send me in a bunch of their photography, and I critique each image, offering suggestions on how they could make it a stronger image. And hopefully, when you watch this, all of us watch this, it could help us improve our photography in general. Today I'm pleased to critique the work of Sridhar Boopathy, and again I apologize, I know I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Sridhar sent me in a few images, and what I like about his work is he uses different perspectives. He doesn't just shoot things straight on, and you'll see in a minute. It's pretty cool. Before I get into his work, if you guys could just take a minute and subscribe to my YouTube channels, and if you could share and like the video, I'd really appreciate that. And I'd like to thank everyone that has already subscribed and shared the videos. I appreciate it. Okay, Sridhar's work. This first one, again, it's kind of an odd angle shooting up at this tree. It's a good exposure. It's a tough scene to expose because you have the expanse lighter sky dominating the shot really, and you don't have a lot that is darker than the sky. So it's easy to underexpose the shot because your camera will meter for the sky and the tree would become more silhouetted. So he did a real nice job with exposure. Whether he did that in camera or post-processing, it doesn't matter. He did a really nice job. It's very well in focus too. Only slight fault I see with the shot itself is since he wanted to get this whole tree in the image, he failed it just slightly. Tiny bit of the tree is out of the image. So if you're going to shoot it to get the whole tree in the image, make sure you get the whole tree in the image. It's different if he would have took a different angle at it and maybe just got this very, very top part. And the main subject would have been taken away from. The main subject now is basically the tree and the sky. The secondary subjects are the bird and the nest. If he would have shot tighter and just got this top part, the main subject would have become the bird and the nest. And it would be alright then to cut off the bottom of the tree. That's acceptable, or more, I should say acceptable. I really don't like saying there's rules in photography, even though there are some rules, but there's kind of ideas that you kind of like to stick to. So you cut off part of the tree over here. Just if you're going to shoot the whole tree, make sure you get the whole tree in the image. Other than that, it goes back to what I've said in just about every critique video I've done, is I would have liked to seen him work the image a little bit more. There's looks like maybe a ledge right here. There's a building back here, a pond back here. It just doesn't really add much to the image. The sky is beautiful. The tree is pretty cool. The bird and the nest are intriguing. I would have liked to have seen him work the image, get some different perspective angles, even though this is a unique angle. But I would have liked to have seen him do more. Maybe crop in, get it far away, things like that. But it's in good focus. Overall, he did a nice job on this image. This next shot too is unusual perspective, kind of very low and shooting diagonally at the window, and the bird was just taking off. I really like the perspective. I like the composition. The image is a little soft. If you look at it, it's got a little blur throughout. Really, I would have liked to seen in this shot if he could have made it a little crisper. He shot at f11, so theoretically everything should have been in focus because it's a pretty flat shot. There's not much depth to it. We have this ledge is probably the closest part that sticks out, and then the back part of these window, I don't know what you would call that, like louvers and gratings or whatever, that would be the furthest back part. Everything at f11 should have been in tight focus. So on this shot, I would have liked to seen better focus. This is a night shot, again, from a unique perspective. I like it very much. If you look at this, it's not really that intriguing of a scene. It's just a street with some street lights. There is some nice color yellow sticking out with the green trees, and that's really good. So he did a really nice job on this shot. One thing I should mention to photographers in general, if you want to capture lights, pinpoint light sources like this and make them star out like that, there are filters you could buy that will do that. If you don't want to use a filter, you could still do it. You would use a very, very small aperture, as small an aperture as you could get away. Now, because it's a night shot, that means you would have to use a very long exposure, a very long shutter speed. So using the very long shutter speed, obviously you're going to need a tripod. In this case, it looks like maybe Sridhar set the camera down on the ground, possibly. But either way, you're going to need the camera stabilized on a tripod or sitting it on a ledge or on a curb or on the ground. And you're going to use a very long shutter speed, a very small aperture. In this case, his metadata doesn't show what aperture he used, but I would bet it was a pretty small aperture, smaller than f13, probably more like f18, f22. Very long shutter speed. Conversely, if you used a wide open aperture in this scene, you would get halos, usually around pinpoint light sources. So you wouldn't get these stars, you'd get a halo around it. This light here has a bit of a halo. But halos in general aren't as attractive. You'd prefer to have these little, stars flaring out. So one tip on night photography, do what Sridhar did on this shot and use a smaller aperture, longer shutter speed, tripod, or somehow make sure the camera doesn't move. And if you could use a cable remote or a remote release of some kind to trigger the shutter, that's the way to go to get that shot. This is a street shot. Now in street shots, you kind of throw some technical ideas out the window. It's what you're doing when you're shooting street photography. You're not so much going for a great composition like you would in a landscape or even a cityscape. You're going for an emotion, for a feeling, for some type of people looking at it and go, wow, I wonder what she's thinking. What's she doing on her phone here? And then, what she's selling. It looks like jewelry and bangles and stuff like that. And the colors are fantastic. So that's what you're going for. And he has all those elements in the shot. This is a really nice shot. Typically you hear me say, well, you cut out part of the tree here, and that. Well, that doesn't matter in street photography. You're not worried about this tree being cut off at the top or anything like that. He's in his photography, Sridhar's trying to portray an emotion, maybe a story even. And this is a pretty cool shot. And I like this shot a lot. This is probably my favorite shot of all his shots. And I think that's it for Sridhar's work. I really appreciate him sending it in to me. I hope you guys got some ideas to help your photography. Remember on those night shots, if you want to get that star look when you have a pinpoint light source like a street lamp or something, is to close the shutter down as much as you can. But remember, you're going to compensate and get a balanced exposure, you're going to need a long shutter speed, so you're going to need a tripod or something to stabilize your camera, and you're going to need a remote cable release or a remote infrared remote if your camera has one available. And things too is to work the scene, as I said many times, and always, I said in just about every video too, make sure your focus is spot on, so everything is as sharp as possible. And that's it. I appreciate everyone watching, and I appreciate all the critiques I've got in. I got a lot in, so if you send me one, it's going to take me, I'm up to like 3 weeks now to get to a critique. So I do appreciate everyone sending them to me. Just hopefully you're understanding it's going to take me a while to get to them. I'm glad to critique your work. It's just going to take me a little while. And again, if you could subscribe to the videos here on YouTube, I'd really appreciate it. And that's it. Thanks a lot.